Booyah, and it's time for the Game Sports Podcast. It's David McCaig, the host of The Game, powered by 91 Network, just to remind you. And if you would like, don't hesitate to follow us on social media, Instagram, TikTok, we are there. But we're here right now, and we're recording. And for those new to the podcast that may have been directed here through Spaces, Village Media, welcome to not only just, I feel, from a biased perspective, great content when it comes to sports overall, but we like to make sure that we deep dive into content that others don't. And we're going to show that right with a bang off the start of this show right now with a close friend of mine and a Sault Ste. Marie native, Brad Jacobs. Brad, my friend, great talking to you. Even before we started recording, we haven't talked in a few months. We were talking about my wedding, which was a blast, by the way, when you and your wife were having a good time. We're all having a good time. But obviously, you have a lot going on right now. But before we get into that, how are you? And thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, I'm great, man. And thanks for having me on the show, Dave. I know it's been too long.
Yeah.
Life can kind of get a hold of all of us sometimes. We get busy and kind of get on that hamster wheel a little bit, but it's always great to connect with you. And it was nice to reminisce about the wedding and the fun time that we all had there. And hopefully we can party like that again someday.
Dance floor was packed. Yes, I have and again, no bias, but I feel like it's the best dance floor any wedding I've ever been to. Sorry to anybody that I've went to weddings with. Jokes aside, Brad, look, obviously, if people don't know who you are, I tell them to just get out of the rock. Okay, but I'm going to give them a quick little introduction. In short, gold medalist, 2014. I've wore that medal around my neck. Okay, not because I won it, but I took it from his drawer at his house. He's a 2013 Tim Hortons Brier champion skip. He's a 12-time Northern Ontario provincial champion. He's won the provincial junior championship. He's won, okay? And he's a very damn good curler, okay? And like I said, Brad, before, you're not a stranger on the show. We were talking about this off air. You've been on the show before. And I think with you being on this episode, this passes the record for the most times I've had a guest, okay? And I think this is your fourth appearance. Colin Miller was 3, and you've just passed. So I've had you on, so you're no stranger to the show. So if you want to listen to those previous editions with Brad, it's all relative content. Go check it out. We went into a lot of stories about when you won your gold medal, when we were recording live on location before in the Sioux, and previously we just started video. But I have a different approach today, okay? But before we get into that about Brad type point that I want to get into, you're back into curling. Team Jacobs is back. That's what I call it. Okay, and I'm asking when I get the chance, I wouldn't mind a Team Jacobs thing up there, so I can just have maybe a picture or a jersey for Jacobs up there in the back. I think it'd be only fitting. I got Turks trying to show that Sioux love back there right now. But obviously the team consists of yourself, Mark, Brett, with Ben. Obviously, I keep an eye on your social media and watch when I can, of course, but you guys have been busy every weekend. Give everyone the feedback about how this all came to. Obviously, you had your team that you won the gold medal with. There was time away from the sport. You got back, and then you got back and got this team together with Mark, which everybody knows you've been with Mark before. Talk about how this team came together and how everything is going so far for you. Give everyone a brief update about Team Jacobs.
Yeah, sure. So we've been going at it now since August, September of this year, but formed the team at the end of last season. I wasn't looking to make a change, but Mark and Ben and Brett were, and I was available. So after the Players Championship ended, I want to say around mid-April, the guys called me. They were looking to make a change at the skip position, and it was just an opportunity that was almost too good to be true. I was really kind of shocked that it was even a possibility. It felt like it landed in my lap, and to be able to play with Mark again was something that meant a lot to me. I feel almost like, we had some years there during the pandemic where they were challenging years. We didn't get to play as much as we hoped to, or wanted to. We didn't get to prepare as much or see one another very much, and we just kind of felt like we left a little bit out there. And although it came to the end of an Olympic cycle, and I decided to hang up the shoes, and they went and formed another team out of Alberta. So to be able to connect with Mark again, and to be able to get to know Ben and Brett a lot better has just been a great experience. And of course, our coach is Paul Webster. Paul's kind of in the background a little bit, but he's very much a member of our team, an equal member of our team. Paul's a great guy and a great coach. So I'm excited. We've been going at it, I think, We've played 6 events so far this season. It's been up and down.
Yeah.
Lots of learning going on. But yeah, back to Team Jacobs. We got a new logo.
Love it.
It's got the Alberta sort of theme to it with the mountains and the curling rock. And yeah, I think we're all excited, and we're just, working towards some really good things.
And like, I'll take an order of that, and I'll pay full price. Look, I'm honest. I'm going to pay. So whenever I can get a merchandise order, send me it. I'll pay it. I would love that sweater to broadcast around here. Now, look, obviously, when you guys recently won, it was in the New Force Classic in Penticton. Obviously, when you get with a new team, it's almost like any sport. You have to develop that chemistry, get used to each other. But ultimately, you have the familiarity with Mark, right? And I feel like this was long overdue to see you back as a skip, because not only do you have the most competitive face in the game before you shoot a shot, okay, but there's no better fit and for you to only have one gold medal, okay, there should be more, okay, and truly, I'm sure being back as a skip and kind of being there with Mark, it kind of helped you adjust quickly, right? I'm sure that getting with some familiar faces and people that probably helped the transition of getting with this squad and getting into the flow of things.
Yeah, Mark and I kind of both felt the same way, in that being back together and being teammates again and being in the house with one another again felt like home for both of us.
Yeah.
It really did. So we're building and growing off of that, relationship that we had before, and trying to continue to grow together as as buddies and as teammates.
Yeah.
And like I said, getting to know the other two guys has been fantastic. There's a lot of testosterone on this team. Make no mistake, lots of testosterone on this team. It's great. It's how I like it. We're very competitive, and as mean as of a face as I might have, or people think that I have when I throw a rock. I like to think that I'm a pretty nice guy,
You
even
are.
on the ice for the most part. But make no mistake, we're out there to compete and bring a high level of compete and do everything we can to win. And the three guys that I have, supporting me in front of me in their respective roles. Deeply want to win as well. So yeah, it's just we're figuring things out. We're going through a learning phase right now. We kind of formed the team. We've stormed a little bit. What is it? Form, storm, norm, perform, something
Oh,
like that. I think
love
is the
that.
way that
Say
team.
that 10 times fast.
Yeah, I know. So we're kind of going through that storming phase a little bit, I think, as we, they get used to me in the house and skipping and my approach and uh, my leadership, and whatnot. And I'm also getting used to, their input and what they're looking for and how to communicate. Communication's a big thing. Communication in curling, really big thing. So we're going through that learning phase, like I said. But I feel like every single event we ask a lot of great questions. We dive deep into what we're doing and how we can get better. I think everybody's very open and honest about how they're feeling, and everyone's awareness is very high. I really like that. I really respect that when teammates have that high level of awareness, and we're working through it here. So yeah, I'm excited to just continue to get out there, and every single week we go and compete. I know we're all excited to be out there with one another, and that's a great feeling.
It is. Honestly, when I heard the news that you were back, I know I messaged you about it, but I was pumped. As was my wife and her family. So my family, just to share with everybody, big
Mhm.
curling fans, big Brad Jacobs fans. And I could tell you when you came to my wedding, they were starstruck. Okay. They're like, oh my God, Brad Jacobs is here. Okay.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
mean, it's
yeah.
just Brad. It's just Brad. No, I'm just kidding. That aside, it's great to see you back at the
Uh,
house, right?
I played against your father-in-law in men's curling, men's league at the curling club.
See, and I didn't know he did that until a little bit into after I knew, and he's been bugging me to go. So I feel like I'm gonna have to get out. But if it's anything like the way I play shuffleboard, we're gonna have a problem, or anything like that. But I would like to get on try it, and I know the curling club here in Sault Ste. Marie has done a terrific job. And there's actually a question about the next that I'm going to ask you in a little bit about what you foresee in the future with curling, but I'll table that. But ultimately, to see you back, I was like very excited to see it, and I'm excited to see what this year brings. And as we approach, and if anyone's wondered if I'm going to ask any Gushu questions, I'm not. I don't want to go there. If you want any any of those, I did ask those in the prior episode, and if you want, you can maybe interact below. Maybe I'll ask Brad next time. Good way to get people to comment and ask questions.
Whatever you want.
There's nothing to hide. I can say that. But you know what? I'm going to save that and tease maybe for next time if anyone has any questions for me, for Brad to ask about Brad. Now, what I want to get into, Brad, before I let you go, because obviously time is, of course, of the essence with these recordings. So I had a little section I want to do an about you, Brad point. Okay, I might add a little flash, might add a little flair to that to the clip before I do that. But I had a list of questions that I wanted to ask you. Okay, and I did tell you before we went off air that they were deep. Trying to get him to make him really think, okay, what's coming? Okay, but when he gets these questions, I know he's going to answer these perfectly because of how intelligent, how good of a guy he is. All right, so let's go. We'll go from the top bottom. So the first question, can you tell us, so here on the game and the viewers, everyone listening in, about a defining experience during your early years in curling that shaped your career path?
Ooh, okay. I think that an early moment would be when I became skip for the first time, and we went to the junior nationals in 2005, I believe it was, and represented Northern Ontario. That was a huge defining moment. I think for me, that helped me really develop the confidence and the belief that I needed to develop in myself at an early age. I was about 18 years old at the time, and no one had gone to junior nationals out of Northern Ontario from Sault Ste. Marie in many, many years. I want to say it was around between 50 and 60 years. So we were the first to do that. And that meant a lot. And actually, my cousin Ryan went a couple of years after skipping a team too, which was pretty cool. And many others have since kind of, opened the floodgates there for Sault Ste. Marie. But yeah, that was a defining moment for me.
Like that answer. So I knew it'd be a good answer. I never asked you these questions before, so I'm excited to know these little side points. So looking back at your Olympic gold medal win, which again, I'm going to brag, I've put that around my neck. It's great. Is there a spectacular mindset shift or habit that helped you during most intense moments?
Um, Yeah, I think that, and it's something that I got away from for a while, but I feel like I'm back there again. I think one of the biggest things for every athlete is just having the ability to let go of results, play free, play loose, just let go of expectations or outcomes, and really just it's like the law of detachment. You ever heard of that? Detaching yourself from results and just living in the now. When we had a lot of success a number of years ago, it was almost like, whoa, what just happened? We were very much just living in the moment, and I think that winning early is a blessing and a curse at the same time. And I think you can put a little bit too much pressure on yourself, and I certainly did that. But I feel like now being almost 40, and I can't believe it. I'm 39 now, Dave. It's wild. It's got
Young,
crazy
young.
time. Yeah, but like young, and I feel young, but still, it's like almost 40. I'm not one of the young guys on tour anymore, but I certainly feel like I'm ready to win again. I feel like my brain is good. I feel mentally pretty strong, emotionally, physically. Everything feels great, and as long as we just continue to work hard in the right areas,
Yep.
I have super high hopes for our team.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. Like, look, and I was gonna. This leads perfectly, I think, into kind of my next question. So take this from someone who is not a curler. I'll be transparent, especially for those who listen to the show. There's sports that we talk about, and more so than others. But obviously, with you being in this, obviously in the light that you're in and covering the Sioux as much as we can, we do talk where we can. But take it from someone who's not a curler. A fan of a friend who curls, obviously. Curling is described as a team sport, right? And it's with deep interpersonal is the word that I used, dynamics. That's the word that I liked to use for it. So we talked about moments, we talked about habits and mindset shifts, but what are strategies that you use prior and now that ensure that your group remains cohesive under pressure? Because if there's someone that thrives under pressure, it's you more than anyone that I know as an athlete.
Sometimes better, more often. Yeah. Okay. So, sorry, what was the question again?
Yeah. So, what are strategies that you
Yeah.
you use prior and now that ensure that your group remains cohesive under pressure?
I think that sticking to routine is important. And when I say that, I mean, uh, pregame meetings, uh, post-game debriefs. I think that sticking to, um, like I said, just showing up to the rink at the right time, going through your pre-shot stuff. Um, I think reminders. We have a whole list of uh, things that we remind ourselves before every event, almost before every single game. And that's usually our coach's job to bring that stuff up so that we get ourselves in the right mind frame for what we're about to do. And I think that sticking with those habits and those routines, it can become monotonous. It can become boring. Sometimes it's really easy to get away from them. But if you can always try to do that, I think it's gonna just ensure that you know what you're supposed to do, and you're level headed, and your emotional intelligence is high, and you're able to control yourself. So yeah, some of those things are those constant reminders, buddy.
100%. See, pressure can be, it doesn't matter what you do, if it's work, if it's sports. I feel like everyone has a different approach to how they handle pressure and a different view on how they take pressure. But I feel like pressure is such a good feeling to be under because it allows you to really grow as a person, successful or not, under that pressure situation. If you are successful in your shot, or if you're in a penalty shot in hockey, you're in game 7 of your whatever division that you play. Those moments are defining moments. Those pressure moments are defining overall, but it's helpful in growth as an athlete and as a person overall. They're experiences that you can take around. And as a team, everything is as a team sport in general is if it's curling, if it's hockey, the pressure that you have, nothing is better than doing it in a team. Okay, like I know I'm not a big golfer. Brad will second that too. I'm not the best golfer of all time, but I find that there a lot for golf. It's a very independent sport, right? You have that one. I enjoy the team involvement that curling has, that hockey has, that those sports have. But overall, either way, work, sports, pressure, it helps you grow. That's my honest opinion. So from 2014, this is something a little bit of a different take, but you were known, and this is a quote directly from the internet from multiple sports, Brad. Okay, this isn't from me. Fitness freaks. I'm sure you've heard that. Did you ever hear that before? I'm sure.
We have, it was it, back then. We probably were more so than a bunch of other teams that were out there. I think we did help influence the fitness side of curling when we were younger. You look at men's and women's curling now. If you're not fit, forget it. Forget
100%.
if there's any curlers out there that want to, male and female, become a professional curler as much as we are. We are professionals at what we do. You better be in good shape. If you're not, I don't know. Good luck.
So that's a perfect way to give advice because I was going to say, how do you balance the need for strength, flexibility, and endurance?
Yeah, yeah,
Comes to
cool.
handling the strategy, right? It's how would you in the sport you need to have that strength, that flexibility, that endurance in any sport that you do.
Yeah.
So it's such a big strategy, especially for curling, right? You can't just be okay. I'm gonna get off my couch today and throw a rock down the ice. It doesn't go that way. Never that it was. It's never that it was that way. But I think you guys, yourself, and the team that you had in 2014 really stressed the importance of that athleticism to be a good imperative part of success, right?
Yeah, you bet. And you need help. You need help in those areas. Like I'm not an expert at diet and strength and conditioning and all that stuff. So um, as I got older here, and I think I've been working with Tyler Belanger now since around 2019. It's been at least 5 years I've been working with him, but it's all strength, conditioning, mobility, core strength, and it's pretty amazing that at 39 I feel probably just as good, if not better, than I did when I was like 25. And
Really?
that's truthful, being truthful there. Like I feel quite good, quite strong, and I got to give Ty a lot of credit. I mean, I'll give myself some credit too, because if I'm not actually doing the things that he tells me to do, then I'm not going to feel that way.
Yeah.
but feeling pretty good. Feeling like, knock on wood, the longevity should be pretty strong because I would like to continue to do this curling stuff for a little bit longer.
See, I see you doing that because of how much you have that self care, right?
Okay.
It's I feel like I've let myself go a little bit, Brett. Not gonna lie to you. I think I'm definitely men's league shape. But jokes aside, two more on the spot questions. We'll call them are about you, Brad. Questions that we have. So, what legacy do you want to leave and hope to leave in the curling world? Obviously, you've left an impact in the suit. We don't need to get into that. Obviously, you've opened the doors in the Sioux. You've exposed the game. You've made the game more popular here in Sault Ste. Marie. Honest opinion, not biased. It's very true. Your success and track record shows that. But what impact do you hope to leave in the world of curling as a whole?
That's a good question. And I think that question is going to continue to evolve as I evolve and as I get older. Obviously, being that I'm still competing right now, I want to win.
Yeah.
I'd like to continue to, it's been a long time since I've been on a team that's won anything quite significant, and that doesn't sit well with me. Quite frankly, it pisses me off and it drives me to want to get on the podium again in some really big moments and some big championships. And in doing so, bring as I would say as many young people into the sport. That's always been a thing of mine, really, since I was in my mid 20s, early to mid 20s. I would say is bring as many young eyeballs to the sport as I can, and really showcase and show people that curling's a really cool and great sport because it really is. It's the ultimate team sport.
Yeah.
Nobody's sitting on the bench ever. Everyone's participating in every single shot and can make a significant impact. Um, the teamwork aspect of it is incredible. You have to be in good shape. Like just all around, I can't speak enough about the sport of curling and what it's done for me and my life and our family's life. And yeah, and I think that as I get older, Dave, there's going to be a point where I'll have a little bit more time to give back to the sport in multiple ways, because we would love to just see the continued growth of curling, not only in Canada, United States, but all over the world. It's really becoming a big thing. You look now at a lot of countries out there, the Asian countries, the European countries, particularly like Japan. Japanese curling is huge. Curling is huge in Japan. The amount of teams coming up on the men's and women's side from Japan, it's unbelievable. So there's going to be lots of different opportunities, I think, for people like myself, men and women like myself, when we're done this thing, but while we're still playing, to continue to help grow the game on a global scale.
That is such a perfect way to answer that question, because the last question is a perfect segue to that. How do you see the sport of curling evolving, and what changes would you like to see in the next decade?
Well,
Or would you see changes?
I'd like to see some rule changes. I think we all want to see some changes. Um, like just some little things right now that kind of tick me off. Sometimes I don't think we have enough time to play a curling game. Not necessarily the 8N curling games, but the 10N curling games. I just feel like curling is continuing to get harder and harder on us. And that's fine. I get it. Like we need to get more rocks in play and all that stuff. But uh, sometimes I just question, like, they're not giving us any more time, but they're making the game harder. We need to think more. People, they want more rocks in play, but we can't have more rocks in play because we need to blank ends in order to finish the game. It's that complicated. So I would like to see, some changes with that. But um, yeah, I think that eventually this thing might be professional. I think that's the way that it's going. We're still amateur athletes playing at a professional level.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe one day in the near future, as the game continues to grow, you're going to see, for many, many years, teams from all over the world would come to Canada to play in the biggest and best events and get the best competition. And now, since they've been doing that for the last 10 years, 20 years, you see how much all these other countries have grown, and they've solicited, help from a lot of other Canadian curlers to help build their programs, and it's been very successful. And that's part of the reason why the game is growing so much all over the world. But now you might actually start to see Canadian teams, and there's still a vast majority of teams out there. There's lots of Canadian teams, but maybe we'll start to travel all over the world and play in events in other areas of the world rather than them always coming to us. But yeah, I could see this thing at some point. Maybe people like pickleball. You never know. Pickleball is becoming huge,
Yeah,
right?
wild how people. How much I didn't know. I thought people were joking when they were talking about pickleball. I thought they were kidding. Not because I just didn't believe it was a thing until I saw it, and then people actually started doing it. It actually that's a whole level of athleticism too. Just like all the tennis and all the comparing them both, but separate. It's all these little things are coming up, and we're going to see these different sports. I think become bigger, and I think curling does deserve that next step. Fair to say, right?
Yeah, yeah, I think we're getting close. We got a new ownership, the curling group, and a bunch of investors that are pouring lots of resources and capital into the sport of curling. It'll be really interesting to see where this thing goes in the next couple years, 5 years, 10 years. So I hope to be a part of that.
Well, the one thing that I'll say that I want to see the next decade is another gold medal, my friend.
Both.
Another gold medal, my friend. Another one to put on in your house. I want to open the drawer and put them both on. Okay, just living the dream.
Yeah, we'll try to make that happen.
Awesome. Well, Brad, you know what? I went in a little extra with our time, so I do apologize about that. But you know what? I'm glad that we went in this direction with these questions because these are different, and I wanted to get to know that side a little bit more. And people that don't know Brad just know that he's been a winner, that you have a competitive face on the ice, that you obviously as the sport grows, I think you're going to continue to be a big part of it. But I like how you mentioned you see all these countries that are getting more involved. I'm very excited to see that as the decades pass and these other sports become more forefront. That includes curling, and you said pickleball. That's a great example. I might have to get some pickleball people on the show to come talk about it because it's absolutely nuts. Now, Brad, before I let you go, I wanted to just kind of give you the floor to talk about where, of course, people can follow you, upcoming events, anything promotional. Even give you the floor about any sponsors. I'm free. I'm fair when it comes to that. So if you want to give any love to anything that's going on right now for you and your team and upcoming.
Yeah, for sure. So right now, we have a Grand Slam event coming up in St. John's, Newfoundland in a couple of weeks. And then after that, we have another event in Swift Current. I believe that one will be streamed, but you can catch us on any of the Team Jacobs or Team Brad Jacobs social media outlets, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We post all of our schedules and all of our games. You can find all of our sponsors on there as well. We've done a really good job. Giving back to our sponsors and really making sure that our partners are well taken care of and all of that front. So our title sponsor, been there, dumped that. We're really happy to have them on, but we've got a whole list of sponsors that people can go and check out. And, please do what you can to support those businesses as they're giving back to our team in the curling world. And hey, don't just follow us, follow a whole bunch of curling teams and jump on the bandwagon. That would be fun. But yeah, all my guys are out in Alberta now. I'm still in Sault Ste. Marie in Northern Ontario. I curl out of Alberta, and I've been really welcomed with open arms out there. So happy to be on the Alberta train and being with these guys and having lots of fun. So that's it for me. We can sign off, buddy, and thanks for having me on.
Of course. Thanks, Brad. Thanks to all the viewers. Of course, give them that follow. Okay. And the next time you see Brad, it's not going to be a picture of me having the medals on or me hanging out with him. I will make a promise to the viewers. I will get to the Sault Ste. Marie Curling Club and I will do a game against Brad whenever he feels like it, and we'll video that. Okay. Yeah. And you can leave any professional comments that you have. You can ask Brad. If you're looking to me, you can use me as laughing content because I'm sure it will be a treat. But the next time we have you, Brad, maybe we'll do something funny, a little bet or something at the Sault Curling Club. I have never tried it there, Brad. I'll be honest with you, I've never ever tried it there. I was in Sudbury one time, and there was on a backyard rink at an old teammates, and it wasn't the same. I've never been actually at a curling club to try curling. I will be honest with you. Never tried it.
Well, you know what's important in curling? Glutes.
Oh.
You got the glutes for curling, bud. We do. So, hey, you know what? I think you'll be great. We just got to make it happen.
yeah, we are going to make it happen. I promise there will be content soon coming with that because I think it'd be good video stuff too. But I want to get out there too, just to have a drink and enjoy the atmosphere and give it a try. And my father-in-law has been bugging me too. So there's a lot of people that have been saying to try it. I'll have to give it a try. So Brad, I want to say thank you for taking the time again, my friend. It's always a pleasure as you break the record for the most appearances on the show, surpassing Colin Miller. Maybe Colin will have something to say about that. I want to come on to try to regain his title for the most appearances on this podcast. But I wanted to make sure I started our debut technically with Spaces with a bang, and nothing better than having you on. So thanks again, my friend.
Awesome. Thanks, Dave. Take care, bud.
Take care. We'll be right back. When we come back here on the game, I'll have Brandon McCarthy and Alex Parr joining yours truly, talking top shelf and all things you need to know about hockey. Be right back. Welcome back to the Game Sports Podcast. David McCaig continuing to host you this evening here on the game. Without further ado, let's introduce a co-host joining yours truly now. Going first to Alex Parr with the very nice, flashy get-up color here tonight on the game. Tailor-made hat, McLaren, and Castor shirt, I believe that says. Nonetheless, Alex, my friend, how's it going?
Good. I'm just getting nervous as there's only 3 weeks left. 3 races left, rather, for the F1 season, and I'm doing everything I can to will McLaren to that Constructors' Cup. So I got to do my part, and this is the only hat I had to match, so that's what we're rolling with.
You're a golfer and you enjoy F1, and we're here talking hockey. What a great mix and match here tonight. We're giving it all tonight, I see. Now, without further ado, new member of the Game Sports Podcast, sort of. He's been here a couple of weeks now, but you know what? He's got his feet wet. He's got the flow with us now. I met him at a wedding, and we started talking about the podcast. Great how these stories really happen. Okay, he's in the GTA area. Parr's in Ottawa. We got one in Toronto. We got one in Ottawa. We're all over the place here on the Game Sports Podcast. Without further ado, Brandon McCarthy. Brandon, my friend, how's it going tonight?
What's up, boys? Yeah, Parr, I love the look. You're ready for golf season, and it's still pretty nice out, so no snow. So I say you can still hit the links. Yeah, I guess this is my third time on the Game Sports Podcast. The first time I recall, I was just post haircut, so the hair was looking good. Second time I had the snapback look, and now I got the big megaphone. So I'm just gonna keep surprising you each week, lads.
Like it. Sometimes we coordinate our clothing, sweaters, but I feel like all of our looks today are different from the last few weeks.
As long as you don't come bald, that spot's already taken. There's already a designated bald guy on this show. So.
Okay, good to know.
Hykel's getting there. Just kidding. I'd make sure he doesn't hear that. I'm sure I'll get a text message now. Now, without further ado, let's go around. We're going to be sticking to the national side of hockey here today, of course. We're going to be diving into more local, just for those that are connected through Spaces, through Village Media. We are going to be diving into more local round with the Sioux Greyhounds, etc. But this week we are sticking on the national front, especially given time constraints on the podcast here tonight. So, look, fellas, around the NHL today with updates, the really thing that I really want to talk about with an update really is kind of fan involvement. I'm going to pause that for a second and talk about one piece of news that came across at this time of recording. Lars Eller has been traded back to the Washington Capitals. The Pittsburgh Penguins have received a 3rd and 5th round pick from the Washington Capitals. 35-year-old Lars Eller, I feel like that was a pretty steep price for Lars Eller, but Washington made a lot of moves in the offseason. They're looking to try to have more success, try to make that big push, that last push for Ovechkin's potential record-breaking year that's just around the corner. But obviously Pittsburgh hasn't been off the start that they want to. We've talked about Washington and Pittsburgh on the show, but two different ends, all right? But obviously Pittsburgh's starting to sell off a little bit, which, not going to lie to you, I'm not surprised that they're not doing as good as everyone thinks. Malkin has sent an apology to the fans. But overall, Pittsburgh Penguins looking like they're starting to sell, Brandon. Nice and early.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Pitt and Washington, right? I mean, like 15 years ago, it was the Ovi and Crosby show, and now it's really the McDavid and Matthews show. And now you look at both teams, like Pitt is just a horrendous hockey club and absolutely wasting Crosby's final years away. And on the other side, you got Washington, who's 10-4 right now. Like, they're cooking to start the season, and there's more incentive because they're like, hey, we're trying to get Ovi to break the record. So, it's like complete opposite directions that both teams are going in. And I mean, since I'm a GTA guy, I got to tie it into the Leafs. So the Leafs have them tomorrow night and Wednesday on their second of a back-to-back. We're recording this November 12th. So they'll be a tough opponent for sure. It's always a tough barn to play in against the Capitals when they're hosting.
Yeah, obviously making that push. Par, you and I talked about how Ovechkin, we touched on it briefly, if he's going to break the record this year or if it's going to happen next year. But the pace he's going, he is on pace to break it this year from my basic math, I believe. I don't want to say I'm any mathematician by any which way, but basic mathematics will tell you that if he continues on the pace that he's on, which is very impressive, so it's going to be hard for him to keep it all year, potentially.
I don't think this deal has so much to do with specifically Ovechkin doing well this season. It's really more reflecting on the team, a team that snuck into the playoffs, probably shouldn't have been there, and off to a hot start. You got to keep those good times rolling, the vibes high, and let's say, okay, you guys are doing really well. We're going to invest into this season. We're going to make a move nice and early so you guys know out there on the ice that upper management, the coaching staff are all behind you. If you're hot, we're going to keep rewarding you and we're going to keep it moving. So I don't really think this has a lot to do with Ovechkin specifically, but rather the whole team.
Yeah, but obviously that is the storyline, obviously, this year. But I think the team overall is just trying to make that push. And I think an open Metro division, I know there's a lot of talent in there, but it can go any way right now in that Metro. But there is a team that is hot, and they are Canadian. Real hot. The Winnipeg Jets looking real hot. And we've talked about them a few times on this podcast. They are. Okay, that's it. I think that is that they are, and they got the right lineup defensively. Stu, native and friend of the show, friend of mine, Colin Miller, is on the defensive core of that team. Obviously, Colin Miller, fun fact, he scored the first ever Las Vegas Golden Knights playoff goal. Fun fact, little trivia for you. But nonetheless, Winnipeg Jets looking like the real deal, Brandon, okay? I think when we did back the Canadian rankings, Winnipeg was up there for us. Okay, I want to say we did say that they're up there.
Oh, yeah.
They're really proving their point this year. They are looking damn fine.
Yeah, I'm happy for them, man. I'm happy for the fans. I mean, it's been a really impressive start. And, you think back a couple years ago, like it was, some tough times, right? Like PLD left, Laine didn't want to be there, Wheeler went to the Big Apple, and then it's just like, oh my God, we got to get, our big dogs locked up, so they get Hellebuck and Scheifele locked up, respectively, to long-term deals. You get Lowry as captain, a couple disappointing playoff exits, and now it's like, okay, it seems like the group is really gelling. Kevin Cheveldayoff has done an excellent job of adding complementary pieces too to surround the core, and Hellebuck's been an absolute stud, of course. Don't want to bury the lead. And they're cooking right now, and their only regulation loss is against the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Very good point. I'm sure Jesse Pollock will love that. I don't mean to give him any shout-outs, but I love to watch his reactions when Toronto beats Winnipeg. There's literally almost nothing better to watch. And Parr, you and I talked about last year, if Winnipeg actually would have gotten the goaltending that they got all year, they likely could have beat the Colorado Avalanche to go on in that playoff. But this is a team that is built for playoff hockey, man. This is a team that should be in the playoffs, and it's good to see them be hot.
Yeah, I wanted to look up to see, because they're now the team with the best start in NHL history, who they had topped for that. Because what always worries me about teams that get hot either at the beginning of the year or February, or these times where being hot, like this isn't the time necessarily to do it. Like you want to see that team hot late April, May, June. So this is great. But let me, be the bearer of bad news for Winnipeg Jets fans that this won't last forever, but you do need it to pick back up at another point. So keep riding it. Wipe that little mark, that one L you have on there. I forget who gave it to you guys again, though. Wipe that off. Don't even worry about that, and just keep it rolling. But temper expectations for sure. It's a long season.
It is. Now, Parr, speaking of expectations, I'm going to use that towards the podcast a little bit. I feel like we got expectations to really deliver on content. I feel like that's, and how this relates to my point is I am going to bring up something that was discussed by us. I believe it was just over a couple years ago, and it was something when we just started introducing ourselves to the video world on YouTube through 91 Network. We talked about signs in hockey arenas, okay, and we talked about signs at sporting events. And I got pretty passionate about it. I'm not going to repeat that. If you want to check it out, it's a searchable. You can search Signs, the Game Sports Podcast. I believe, I'm not going to tell you the title. If you want to look it up, you can look it up yourself. I'll give you the work to do it. But we talked about how in 2002, when I was a young lad, 11 years old, I had a sign for CBC. and it said Cujo's best for Canada. That's when 02. Obviously, Cujo was the goaltender in Canada before he got hurt and Brodeur stepped in. And I was a young lad standing near the front row behind. We got tickets at obviously at the time, the ACC, standing behind the net, and I was holding the sign up for like the whole third period. Okay. And my uncle was videotaping the game, and I actually got put on camera. Okay. And I have that video as a kid, and if I can include it on here, I will definitely share that. Okay. But there I am, this young guy, and I saw it on a picture my dad was showing me recently. And there I am, blocking the poor guy's view behind me, okay? And these are not cheap seats at Toronto, okay? Even back in 2002, those were not cheap seats, okay? So there I am blocking the sign. I know it's a kid just enjoying his game, okay? And I'm sorry to that guy in advance. I'm sorry if you didn't really get to watch the good Montreal-Toronto matchup that was there that night when Toronto got the win. But I want to get your guys' feedback about signs at sporting events. And I'll just say it one more time. I don't think they should be a thing. I don't think you should obstruct view. Maybe if you bring it and you have it up for a second when they score or something, maybe there's an appropriate time to use it at a game. And maybe age matters. I don't think someone who's 30 years old, so I'm 33, don't mind saying that. I don't think me bringing a sign and trying to be goof and blocking people's view really is the most appropriate. If I'm a young guy, I think that would make sense, but I think there's a time and place to do it during the game, and I don't think there should be any obstruction of view. So I'm the guy who's going to be the kind of the Grinch as Christmas is around the corner and say, I don't think signs should be at games. Brandon, what's your opinion?
I'm going to go even further, and I'll call you the Grinch. I'll call you Scrooge, because anyone who doesn't like signs at sporting events can take a lap. I mean, in an age where social media has just dominated sports, and in good ways, but also some bad ways. I mean, I feel like signs, especially, with kids there, like, come on, man, it's got to warm your heart a little bit. Like, these are like very passionate, hockey fans. They probably spent like, all afternoon post school creating the sign.
Oh,
and
hard here, Brendan. It's pulling my heartstrings.
But it's also like, it kind of just, it should kind of remind us of the days like pre-phones, pre-tablets, pre-social media. Like, it's all just like so overwhelming of the access we have to all technology, right? So having like physical signs at games, I think is great. I will like say that yes, there is a time and place for it. Like, if it's like overtime and Buddy's standing up with a sign, it's like, okay, buddy, maybe just relax. Like, but I think it's great. And, you might not see them as often in the platinum seats like you did, Dave, there in 02 with Cujo between the pipes, but just because all the suits are at the Platinum Club, as we talked about before in our previous podcast. But I think it's great, and you know what? It's an easy thing for a cameraman to spot out, and I think a lot of the signs that do get shown on screen are pretty clever.
That's funny. That's a good take. You pulled my heartstrings a little bit there, Brendan.
I said to come at you there.
Parr, how about you? What's your point?
Yeah, I think anything that makes the fans more involved is really important. I always talk about how European hockey has crazy fan involvement with their chants and their cheers and their dancing and their horns and everything. And soccer, it's so crazy. And that fan involvement, I feel, is really missing from North American sports. And this is one of the few things that we do have that can translate, like a kid trading, some Skittles for a puck to a player. That's cool. I don't hate seeing that.
Well, I see it up against the glass. I see what you mean, but when they have a give me a skit, okay.
Yeah. But
Didn't think of that.
Etiquette, for sure. Like, if you have a kid there with you with a sign, and he's holding it up during the play, if that's my kid, I might give him a little smack on the back of the head. I paid a lot of money for these seats. I know the person behind me paid a lot of money for these seats. So hold on till the whistle, do your thing. But yeah, and I don't care. You said it shouldn't be an adult. I don't care. If you paid for the ticket, do whatever you want. If that's what makes you have fun at these games and gets you loud and engaged, sure. I paid for a ticket too. Just don't have it up during the game.
See, as you say, get loud at a game. Scotiabank Arena, take note. Get loud at a game. You know what that feels like? Yeah, I don't think so.
I do, because I watch my Leafs games in Ottawa.
So true. Now, fellas, we don't have much time to get into other news to talk about. We have more of a shorter segment here on our top shelf segment here today. So I want to jump into our redraft and try to fit in a blind ranking before I let you boys go, before we get to our final segment here tonight. So just to remind everybody, especially those who may be new to the podcast tuning in, or those who have maybe got through here through Spaces, again, Spaces through Sudaday and Village Media. Our redraft is a segment that we do on the show. It is just for hockey at this point, where Alex, Brandon, whomever's on the panel with me, we redraft that year that we're talking about, the top 5 of that year based on what we know today. Okay, not then. We're going back in our DeLorean, gotten it to 88, and we're redrafting the top 5 for those managers, for those teams. And the year that we're drafting here today is 1996. Parr and I have started this from the beginning drafts till now. That's how many of them we've done, and we're going to do them all the way up until current day. So I'm going to start us off and kick us off with going from the top 5, and I'm going to go from 5 to 1 in the way that Parr knows I love opening it up with. With the 5th overall pick, the Dallas Stars are proud to select Matt Cullen. With the 4th overall pick, the Washington Capitals are proud to select, and this pains me to say, Tomas Kaberle. With the 3rd overall pick, the New York Islanders are proud to select Daniel Briere. Great goal celebration, by the way. If you know, you know. The 2nd overall pick, the San Jose Sharks are proud to select Chris Phillips. And with the 1st overall pick, they got him anyways, but nonetheless, throughout his career, but the Big Z, Zdeno Chara, the Ottawa Senators getting Zdeno Chara number 1. Parr, you're second.
Mine's not too different, but I did a little for me in here. Number 5, maybe the best goalie mask of all time, Steve Valiquette. Are you kidding me? A Spider-Man goalie mask? Sudbury's own?
Selfish way. I like that.
Yeah. Oh, I got the Lego Daily Bugle hiding over my shoulder here. I got to give some love to a guy that knows some good media. Are you kidding me? Number 4, Caberlet as well. At 3, I had Matt Cullen. Number 2, I had Daniel Briere. And without a doubt, it's Big Z at number 1.
100%. Brandon, redraft. This is pretty much your first official one, I think.
Yes, I believe so. Okay, number 5, I'll go Fernando Pisani. Pisani. He, if you recall, had, I think it was 14 goals in that 06 Stanley Cup run with the Oilers. He was just like on fire.
Great playoff.
Number 4, I'll go Chris Phillips. Number 3, I'll go Danny Briere. 2, I'll go Caberlet. And 1, I'll go Big Z. And actually, Caberlet was on that 2011 Cup win with Big Z. So
yeah, that's so true. That Toronto Maple Leaf legend, may I say, as well. Now, fellas, I know time's getting close, so I will only do, if we can fit in a third based on time, we won't do it, but we'll try to get 2 blind rankings out of the way, okay? So what I'm going to do with the blind rankings is Parr and Brandon, so Alex and Brandon, I'm going to tell them the question, and they're going to go back and forth to try to come up with a decision together on what they is. Okay, and there's only 5 options.
All right.
This question is rank these cities based on their current NHL team's fan base and culture.
That's crazy. Oh, my God. Okay.
All right, Parr.
Number 1.
What city do you hate the most? Who are we throwing under the bus here?
Number 1, the first team that I'm naming for you to rank from 1 to 5. Blind ranking, everybody, so they got to pick a spot. They might not like the future picks. Boston Bruins.
Oh, tough barn to play in, and those fans are a lot. But in terms of passion, it's got to be tough for you, Parr.
I'm thinking 2's probably safe. I wouldn't even hate it at 1. I just don't know what else is on here.
Let's say 2.
Okay, love it.
Let's say 2.
You're ranking them 2. Okay, you're ranking them 2. The next one, Montreal.
Come on, that's 1.
Yeah, 1.
It's got to be. It's got to be.
Yeah. All right.
Number 3, Toronto Maple Leafs. Fan base and culture.
You know what? The fan base has a terrible culture. It's nervous in there during big moments. The online is toxic as all hell. Put them at 5.
Ooh, hold on a sec, because the fan, like you have seen the fan base when they went around, it's electric. You want to go 5? See, I'm worried about the last couple picks because 1 and 2's done.
I don't want to upset another fan base, and I'm self-aware enough to know that.
Why don't we go 4? Because then we have 3 and 5 as vacant, right?
I don't know how that's a hard decision, Parr. I thought you guys would be fighting for 3 on this one.
I was going to say 5 or 3. I was going to say 3 because they're original 6.
Let's meet in the middle. Let's meet in the middle and go 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
4.
So 1, 2, and 4 are locked up.
New York Rangers.
3.
Okay.
Sorry, I was just
Yeah.
automatic.
I don't know if you like this one. I don't know if you like this.
Uh-oh.
Chicago.
Chicago at 5.
Yeah, I'm actually okay with putting them at 5.
Chicago at 5. So you had number 1, Montreal, 2, Boston, 3, New York Rangers, number 4, Toronto Maple Leafs, number 5, Chicago, ranked based on fan base and culture. And you're blind.
Like, the thing is with Chicago, like maybe in 2010, if we were doing this recording, people would think we were nuts. But like, you know, post Kane era, post Taves era, it's kind of just like people are just happy to, you know, see Bedard and go home.
Good points. Now, one more blind rank. I think that was good. I like that. If we can fit in a third, we'll see, but we'll do one more for sure. Rank these hockey moments by how unforgettable they are.
Ooh, Nikes.
Okay. Number 1, the Miracle on Ice, 1980. I know you weren't alive for a couple of these, but we know these moments. We know these moments, okay? 1 to 5. Miracle on Ice first.
They didn't even win the medal in that game, though. So, I mean, that would be number 1 if we were talking about like participation ribbons and consolation prizes. I'm assuming these moments are going to be attached to winning something, and I would say 5. I'm going to assume the rest of these moments are all attached to winning or very sentimental moments.
All right, let's go 5.
Yeah, that's right. Canada, baby, number 1.
With the nation's face-off around the corner. But nonetheless, next one, Wayne Gretzky's record-breaking goal for his goals and points.
That was big.
Goals and points are combined into one, but let's say goals.
I think probably 2. I think I know where Dave.
I was sitting around 2 or 3 myself, so if you're saying 2, I'm down for 2.
2.
Yeah.
Sidney Crosby's golden goal in 2010.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Uno.
Bobby Orr's flying goal in 1970.
4. He didn't even score it when he was in the air. He just jumped after in celebration. Come on.
All right, slot him in at 4. That means we got, what, 3?
3 left. And number 3, that means you put Ray Bourque lifting the Stanley Cup in 2021 as your 3.
I love it. I think that's perfect.
Yeah, I like that.
Number 1, Sidney Crosby's golden goal. Number 2, Wayne Gretzky's record-breaking goal / points, but we went with goals. Number 3, Ray Bourque lifting a Stanley Cup. Bobby Orr's flying goal at 4. Miracle on Ice at 5.
I like that.
I
like both.
Now, do you want to do number 3? Do we have time? Do you think?
Why not?
Yeah, throw it in there.
All right, number 3. Rank these iconic NHL trades based on their impact.
Ooh.
These are good ones today. I thought these through.
Give us 5 more. No.
Number 1, Wayne Gretzky to the Los Angeles Kings. I had to make sure I threw the team in there, what trade it was. Yeah, I started off hot on a couple of them.
Impact, that was the trade that was never supposed to happen. So, like, culturally, that'd be number 1. But he never went on to win another cup.
That was such an impactful, like, at the time, like, historic, impactful.
It's 1 or 2.
Yeah, I think we got to go 1, man.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know what tops it. Like,
yeah, we'll see. Phil Esposito to the Boston Bruins. Stu Boy, little Stu love for you guys in Sault Ste. Marie. Phil Esposito.
4 or 5.
Yeah, it's Boston. Screw Boston. 5.
5. All right, 1 and 5 done.
Ray Bourque to the Colorado Avalanche. Still
2 or 3
to go, so think of that.
Let's go 3. I think 3 is conservative.
Yeah.
3, okay. Eric Lindros to the Philadelphia Flyers, may I add, on his own accord.
I thought you were going to say to the Leafs. Big E.
That was a big trade.
Yeah, the Flyers, Quebec won Stanley Cups because of that trade.
Mm-hmm.
Big E, just like our friend Eric Werner. Let's go 4.
Okay, let's do it.
Now, may I add, too, for those, again, Sault Ste. Marie ties, Eric Lindros requested a trade to not join the Sioux Greyhounds as well. Okay?
It's in his blood.
It's in his blood when he got drafted. Last but not least, that puts this at number 2. Mark Messier to the New York Rangers.
Yeah.
Close. Yeah.
Sure.
So number 1, Wayne Gretzky to the Kings. 2 was Messier to the Rangers. 3 is Bourque to the Avs. Lindros to the Flyers, and then Stu Boy, Phil Esposito to the Boston Bruins.
I think we killed this. All three,
Yeah,
I think we did great.
I think that was pretty exceptional.
Like that. Now, next time we have this, we're going to have Parr ask the questions to us, Brandon.
Okay, cool.
Love it. All
We'll
right.
flip it up each week so I can try to chime in and give my either stupid or great opinions, probably on the other side. But nonetheless, fellas, this has been a good segment of course, Top Shelf, where we talk hockey in all accords. Of course, we stuck on the national perspective and some more questions and rankings and quizzes today, but why not? Good way to kind of introduce the audience from the Spaces perspective. And it's good for clips and interaction. I'll be honest. It's great. Leave your comments below on all these reactions. How would you have done it? But Parr, time flies when you're having fun, my friend. I want to say thank you for taking the time here tonight. It's always a joy, my friend.
Only 10 minutes over what you thought you were going to do. Not bad, Dave.
Not bad. We're working on it. Brandon, my friend, all the way in the GTA, thanks for taking the time, my friend.
Thanks, boys. Appreciate it.
Of course. We're going to be right back here on the game. We got In the Pocket coming up next with myself, Justin, and we're even expecting EJ to make a return back to end the show. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Game Sports Podcast. David McCaig continuing to host you this evening. We're now entering the third segment, In the Pocket, and special shout out when it comes to In the Pocket. Sponsored by Sports Center Bar and Grill in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, the original home to the Game Sports show at the time, now the Game Sports Podcast, where we had the phone on the cup for the recordings. Fantastic times those were. Look how time has really helped our show grow. And for those who are new to the show, in particular if you're tuned in through Spaces, that's welcome to the In the Pocket segment, the longest running segment on the game. 8 years we've been doing In the Pocket, and we've been doing it through live radio. We've been doing it on podcasts. It's been all over, and you get to enjoy football content from a local, regional, and national perspective, and it feels good saying those words because Scott used to be the one to say local, regional, and national for the game. Now, before we get into In the Pocket, I want to make sure I mention two things. One, In the Pocket is purely about football, okay? We try not to keep and bring in any other sport references, as I say as a joke. If you know, you know, okay? But the second thing is EJ is making a return after a brief absence away from the show, and I wanted to give you the floor, EJ, as per your request to address that.
Yeah, and I just wanted to thank the Game Sports Podcast team and every one of you listeners. One of the things that Dave and we have been communicating every week since my absence is mental health. And I had to step away for a little bit, and I appreciate every one of your respect and not asking me beyond being a reasonable person what's going on. Everyone was very respectful, and I'm happy to be back. And I'll tell you what, the main reason I was not losing my mind had absolutely nothing to do with the Cleveland Browns' poor play.
Had to throw that in there. Right? Nothing.
Dude, they're terrible. They're so bad. I'm ashamed to, I almost didn't. I have a black t-shirt on underneath because I almost didn't want to wear this.
Yikes. And it wasn't because of the Cleveland Guardians playoff run either, which was actually pretty storybook.
No, we did good. The Tribe played well. I will continue to call them the Tribe. I thought it was a heck of a run against what is a very, very good New York baseball team that just didn't have enough to beat the Dodgers. Congratulations to the Dodgers, World Series champ. I love that Shohei Ohtani gets the title. I just don't like that anyone else does. Besides Freddie Freeman. I like Freddie Freeman.
Canadians like them too. And there's the other sport reference that we got in 2 to 3 minutes in. Not bad, fellas. We're good. Now, In the Pocket, you know what we talked about, EJ? I want to fill you in on something because I know time is of the essence. Justin and I spent, and he can second this, 12 minutes talking about NCAA football. Yes. Me and Justin talked about
I'm proud of you.
And I had my Oregon sweater on. I'm loving my Ducks this year.
Shut up.
I'm loving my Ducks this year.
Shut up.
I almost
won. You won by one. I'm not going to drop an F-bomb here, but you won by 1 point. I'm doing it because you asked me not to.
Why didn't they kick the ball, Ohio State? Never mind. We don't need. That's weeks ago. That was still a very good.
They're both going to make the playoff. That's all that matters. And Oregon's a bunch of choters.
Bunch of ducks.
I almost went to the game in the big house and I didn't because I didn't know who would come. And I wish I just would have went because it would have been such a good experience to go watch.
Yeah, you should just went. I could have paired you up with people.
It would have been fun to go. But that aside, that's previous. We're going to not dive into too much NCAA, but there is some local football love that we would like to always give on this show. But I'm going to table that for the next episode.
Is it the Cora Colts?
We'll leave it at that.
It's always the Cora Colts. Just drop it.
Exactly. It's their supremacy when it comes to football. But you know what? All the football teams, we'll get into some local discussion when it comes to next week. Okay. Given time constraints, we're going to stick to the National Football League here tonight. So in the pockets featuring NFL this week. And what just passed is week 10. We're already week 11, going into week 11 this week, fellas. And I just remember 11, 10-ish weeks ago when we just had the first episode for week 1. And we're all excited that the season's here. And now we're blinking. We're at the halfway point. Pivotal weeks incoming for a lot of teams. Divisional movement is going to be very wild when it comes to the NFL. Last week was quite the week, especially the Thursday nighter between the Bengals and Ravens was absolutely insane. Burrow does what he does last week and still loses, but Goff throws 5 interceptions, which stop with Goff being he had one bad game, drop it. But Burrow winning, but Goff losing. You got to think Burrow's punching air today, okay, given what he had, or the other day, given what he had to experience and watching other teams win. But last week, I'd have to say the game of the week in week 10 was the Thursday nighter. That Ravens-Bengals game was a doozy to watch. It was awesome to watch. No bias. The Steelers game, I think, was great to watch. I didn't even pick the Steelers, my favorite team to win last week. I picked the Commanders, but the Steelers won that game. That was exciting. And like that Lions-Texan game was fantastic too, despite the interception debacles going on. I will not talk about the Panthers-Giants though. I did not really watch the Germany game.
You know what? It wasn't awful. It honestly wasn't. I mean, it was awful. Don't get me wrong, but like what you expect.
It was good, bad football.
Yeah, like what you expected it to be and what you got. It was like a 10 out of 10.
On par.
10 out of 10 or so like a 1-star.
It was a
game.
decent. It was a decent international game between teams you don't care about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know, EJ, you had a question when I was talking about Burrow, I think, right? Did you want to mention something about Burrow?
No, I just wanted to say I hate both teams.
Oh. Honestly, Burrow is going into a grind this year, 4-6. Like the Ravens too, Henry, Jackson. The Ravens look good.
That might be the best combination in the AFC is Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. JOK went, go back to that Ravens-Browns game where the Browns won from a few weeks ago, and JOK stood up and got hurt on that hit against Derrick Henry. But go back and watch that film, and you tell me JOK wasn't committed to that hit. Like, that was a team-first tackle,
yep.
And I think that speaks a lot to the way that the Browns intend to play football. It's just we don't have a quarterback.
Yeah,
they're eating dubs.
A lot of struggles there in Cleveland for of course now
but Lamar and Henry are nasty.
It's honestly it should be illegal to have those two guys. Like how did no one in the offseason just be like pony up? It's like, well, Baltimore's going to pay Derrick Henry this much. I'll give him $50 more if you
like. Why wouldn't the Cowboys sound him?
Well, yeah. Well, let's not talk about.
You know what I mean? Like somebody overpay for running back.
The Cowboys and rational thought aren't things that go together in the same sentence.
That's true.
And
I remember when I saw the Ravens sign Derrick Henry, I went,
"Oh no,
dang!"
Oh,
yeah, it was a match made in heaven.
Oh, snow.
And Cooper Rush leading the charge with Dallas. Dak Prescott going down. Cowboys season is just nope. Not what they anticipated this year. And Cooper Rush threw, guess how many yards last week? If you haven't looked, 45. Yeah,
I wasn't rushing to look.
45 passing yards. Okay, Rico had more yards on the ground for, of course, the Cowboys.
Uncle Rico and more passing yards.
Might as well.
I bet I could throw a steak over the mountains.
And you know what? Cooper Rush is not rushing to the end zone. He's not rushing his throws anywhere. I'm really throwing bad analogies, but that atrocious. The Cowboys, I think it's time to think of next year. Okay, that's the point that the Cowboys need to start being at here. They're done. They're cooked.
They're rushing on to next season.
Yeah, they're cooked. They are cooked. Fellas, I'll go around the horn when it comes to this week before we get into our pick'ems, because obviously everyone's waiting to hear about the pick'ems. Game of the week this week. Justin, what is your game of the week?
I'm honestly going to say that Lions-Houston game. That was a masterclass in not giving up. But the Lions' defense was awesome in that second half. I mean, it wasn't like super interesting football to watch, but if you like defense,
It was enough.
it was awesome.
It was enough.
Also, those Houston helmets with the face, like those unis were pretty solid. As the kids these days would say,
yes.
fire, I think is the that's the cool
Or
term.
they slay?
I
They slay.
I got a meme from my buddy saying that they looked like Darth Vader in those red cloak stormtroopers.
what is it?
Good
The Praetorian
reference.
Guards or something like that?
The evil Sith.
Yeah, that's
I love that example. Good example. As the X-Wing is in the background of Justin there, I'm sure he loves that reference. So that's
By the way, that sound of a blaster, do you know what that is? Just for a fun fact for you Star Wars nerds.
No.
The sound of a blaster is actually, they took like a long power cable that runs between those big steel beams and they tapped it once with a metal wrench and it goes Tew! And that is actually the sound of the blasters.
That makes so much sense.
There you go, movie magic. You're welcome. Happy to ruin your childhood.
That's good.
Love that.
It's sweet. It's cool though, because like now if you like run up to some metal cable, you're gonna be like, Tew.
So now I'm gonna try.
You're all gonna try it for the rest of your life. You're welcome.
How'd Hyke die? I don't know. He was hitting power lines with a wrench.
He got electrocuted.
Before we go to EJ for his point hike, so that's of course for week 10. For week 11, what is your game of the week for week 11?
Ooh.
Oh, give me this right now.
Yeah, EJ,
I got this. He can have last week. I'll take this week.
Okay.
I think it's Commanders Eagles. 100%.
Yeah.
I think these are 2 7-win teams. A team led by a rookie quarterback that I need to go back to episode 1 before I took my break and say, excuse myself, when I said who's starting for the Washington Commanders. Jalen Daniels is starting for the Washington Commanders, and he's been playing great football this year. I think that's a game against the Eagles where there's a lot of expectations on Philly and not nearly as much on Washington, and they're doing it on the road. And if you can go on the road into Philly and punch them in the mouth quick and quiet the link, I think that you can make a big difference early in the game.
I agree. And for obviously, I'll agree when it came briefly. I'll say for last week, my game of the week was Bengals Ravens last week. And for this week, I was and am in full agreement with EJ that Thursday night are another great way to start the week of football for week 11. And for the way to end the week, Cowboys and Texans, maybe it would have been good with Dak, but it's not going to be as good anymore. But that Sunday mid game, I was very close with the Chiefs and Bills being my game of the week. I think that's going to be something really exciting to watch. But Justin, now just introduce for those that may be new to the show, we have a pick'em segment that we've been doing since day one. And now we use our pick'em on Yahoo. Okay. So what pick'em is through Yahoo is we pick the winners of the week and we have standings. EJ is the back-to-back champion. And I wasn't first by a good chunk of games, but now, just like the last couple years, EJ is catching back up and so is Justin. So here we go. It's getting real interesting now as we approach the last 8 weeks of the season, 7-8 weeks of the season, obviously, as we enter week 11. So Justin, what are the standings? What is the updates for the pick'em? And then you lead us off with your picks first.
All right. It's tightening up here. Kegger's Gridiron pick still in first, 101 points. Rough week last week.
He has you need a better name,
yeah,
dude.
well,
I think it's sick.
I mean, then we got the Browns in second with 99, the great one.
You need a better name.
He at least tried with his name.
That's more as a nose up to you than anything.
And then the ever original Hike's Picks in third with 99.
Yeah, yours
is... Love his picks. Love that name. So simple.
All right.
So simple.
And getting into Hike's Picks for the week, here we are. I got the Commanders over Philly on Thursday night. Green Bay over Chicago. Detroit over Jacksonville. Minnesota over Tennessee. Miami over Vegas. New England over the Rams, New Orleans over Cleveland, Colts over the Jets, Baltimore over Pittsburgh, Atlanta over Denver, San Fran over Seattle, Buffalo over KC, Chargers over Cincy, and Houston over Dallas on Monday night. I got Houston 28, Dallas 10, Colts 20, Jets 17. Most points this week, Detroit. Fewest points, the Titans.
Love those picks. Actually, I think this week there's might be a fair balance. And I'll go next, and I'll say the back-to-back champ, the best. I got to say it each week.
Best for last.
For last. Easy. Now, starting off, Commanders over the Eagles, Packers over the Bears, Lions over the Jaguars, Vikings over the Titans, Dolphins over the Raiders, Rams over the Patriots, Saints over the Browns, Jets over the Colts. I got the Ravens over the Steelers, and I'll remind everybody, I am a Steelers fan. Pick'em means a lot here. Falcons over the Broncos. Very tight choice. I was close to picking the Broncos there. The 49ers over the Seahawks. Chiefs over the Bills. Love that game. Bengals over the Chargers. Texans over the Cowboys. 28-21 will be Texans over the Cowboys. I got 24-14 for the Jets over the Colts. Most points this week, Detroit. Least points this week, the Jacksonville Jaguars. EJ.
Hold on, I'm making adjustments because I'm smarter than you. No, I'm being cocky now. I'm going to say this. I love gambling on Washington this week, but I got the Eagles over Washington at home. I get Packers over the Bears on the road. Lions win it versus the Jaguars at home. Jaguars stink. Vikings, a good, bad football team this year. I'm going to say it that way. They're a very good, bad football team. I think their quarterback play is still suspect. Dolphins over the Raiders, Rams over the Patriots. I actually have the Browns and Jameis Winston winning against the New Orleans Saints. I think the way that this season has gone for the Cleveland Browns, and this being a nothing other than Jameis playing in New Orleans game, of course we're going to win it because it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? But it'll matter to the team. So I have that. I have Colts over the Jets. I have Ravens over the Steelers, Falcons over the Broncos, Niners over the Seahawks. I actually have the Chiefs winning on the road against Buffalo. I think they start to turn it up as the playoffs near. Bengals over the Chargers, Texans over the Cowboys. Texans 24, Cowboys 17, Colts 21, Jets 14. Least points this week, the Raiders. Most points, restore the roar, baby.
Yeah,
Detroit
it is.
Lions.
Yeah, restore the roar, baby. That team is gross, and Goff threw 5 INTs. That's the most INTs he's thrown all year in the last couple of years. Okay,
and they added Zadarius Smith from the Cleveland Browns, who formerly played for the Minnesota Vikings in that division, so he knows how to play North football. He knows how to win in this division.
Smart. Super Bowl favorite for me this year, and again, going to be exciting coming down the stretch. Now, fellas, sticking to the time constraints that we have, that's all the time that we have here on this segment for In the Pocket here tonight.
Oh, man, I want to talk to you more.
Oh, I love talking to both. I look forward to this. But it's very happy to
Thank you for having me back. Thank you,
Yeah,
boys. I really appreciate your patience. And listeners, thank you for waiting for me to come back. I know it was week 1, and I think I just disappeared, but glad to be back.
Listen, we appreciate having you back. Dave doesn't tell me I'm stupid with my crazy ideas, and I need that sometimes. All right,
I'm glad to be honest with both of you.
I've been gambling on.
By the way, let's be honest. That Marty Turco jersey in the background is not working for you.
Friend of the show.
I like Marty Turco. No, don't get me wrong, but you're not a Dallas Stars fan.
No,
put that on your other wall.
Yeah, it's going to now. I thought I'd show the Sioux love for the space.
You put the Death Star up just to compete with his X-Wing, but the Marty Turco, I love Marty Turco. Great mask, by the way. Great mask. But not – you're a Maple Leaf fan. You can't do that.
I'm not going to show the name on the back of this one because it's – but there it is, okay? Here it is. That's the backdrop. Okay.
Dude, if it says Trump, I'll shoot my pants.
No, it is Mitch Marner. Justin's favorite hockey player of all time.
I didn't know
bringing a little Americana into this.
I didn't know a Toronto Maple Leafs Trump jersey was available.
Dude, it's always available. Just get number 47 on it, baby. He's back.
Oh, goodness gracious.
That's just to upset the liberals.
Edit it.
Listen, we're not getting political. I just
No,
trying to tell a
We're
joke.
just trying to
okay?
have
I know,
fun.
but
We're just trying to have
We're
fun.
having, I know. And that's where I'm like, okay, that's my fun of it. But again, fellas, EJ, thank you very much, my friend.
Thanks for having me back.
Very happy. We'll get you back next week, and we'll have a bit more time next week. That can I can assure you. Justin, as always, thank you, my friend.
Hey, we got your back. Good to be back with the fellas. I mean, it's always fun talking, but it's fun with more.
It is. It is. It's great to have us all together and talk.
And I love that I'm coming back right in time to shove your big lead in the pick'em right up your rear end.
I left
for a 7th consecutive season.
That's a dynasty.
That is a dynasty.
It's been a thing, boys. I don't know what to tell you. I'm a little
like
cocky.
the Bills in the '90s, just lose every time in the Super Bowl. That's me.
Ooh, that's fair. I can accept that.
EJ had to move. He's waiting for all those trophies that are in the mail.
His is up there. No, it's not up today, but it's right there.
I don't have anything on these walls yet. I will say this to the listeners. This is the new office space. We are going to make this. I'm going to have my wall over here. Going to have all the swag. Go Browns, go Tribe. It's going to be cool. It'll be nice.
I love that.
It'll be better than the Marty Turco.
Oh, yikes. They're getting chirped.
Did he sign? Hold on. Did he sign it?
Yeah, it's at the front.
Okay, never mind. Then I take it
My
back.
birthday.
That's a cool jersey then.
When I was 13th birthday, he gave it to me. But before I go down a rabbit hole.
It's your 13th birthday present. You just put it up. You're a bad gift appreciator.
It's very
Put
true.
this on
It
the
should be in a
internet
frame.
now. He's going to hear you.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, he can reach out.
Marty,
back.
if you send me a jersey, I'll put it up today. Actually, I don't even need a jersey. Just call me and be like, "Wow, Dave is so bad." I'll take that call.
EJ, Justin, thank you. Alex, Brandon, thank you as well. And, of course, to the one who opened the show with me today, Brad Jacobs, thank you very much for taking the time. It was fun. It's great to have the 3 segments together. Great having EJ back. I mean, football, hockey, we've talked curling today. It is fantastic. And on behalf of everyone here on the Game Sports Podcast, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe on all the platforms, social media. That's TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, on the 91 Network YouTube page. And if you got tuned here, though, let's make sure to broadcast that. If you have joined us here through Spaces, I don't have the full poster up yet, so I'm showing you the sticker. Make sure that you are a part of Spaces and tune into all from the Sioux especially, the local talent that we have in our community. And we're very happy. If you got connected to the show through here, make sure you come back for more because the game has a lot more coming. I'm here to remind you, until next time, keep your stick on the ice, swing your bats, catch your touchdowns, drain your threes, and shoot your shots. Booyah.